Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
Meeting of the Planning Board of February 8th at 7 p.m. And then I want to come to order and begin by introducing our board. I'm Langdon Plummer. I'm chair of the board. And to my right is?
Nancy Belanger, Select Board Representative.
Thank you.
John Gruder.
Regular member.
Pete Cameron.
Regular.
Clerk.
And?
Jen Martell.
Fine, thank you. All right, that being done, we have the minutes of January 25th, our last meeting to approve. And so the floor is open to that discussion.
I have one, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
On page 2 of 4, line 83, at the end, I would like to add, it says draft presented, I'd like to add at the last meeting, and that would be the same as line 59. It pointed out that we had made those recommendations at the previous meeting. So on on line 83,
Yep.
add after presented at the last meeting.
Oh, okay, add the word "at the last meeting."
Yes.
Yeah. The words, I should say.
Yes, those 3 words.
What line was that, sorry?
83?
83, okay, got it.
Okay,
Thank you.
anything else? Pete, have you got anything?
Nope, they were clean as far as I was.
Ooh, I'd be open to a motion.
I will move to approve the meeting minutes for January 25th, 2024 as amended.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Voice vote will be fine. Those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Next, we have new business application of 81 Front Street LLC for multifamily site plan review for the proposed conversion of the existing single-family residence at 81 Front Street into 6 residential condominium units, along with associated parking and site improvements. Subject property is located in the R2 Single Family Residential Zoning District. That's tax map parcel number 72-195. Planning case 24-1, and I would ask Dave Charles, our town planner, if this is ready to be heard.
In my opinion, it's complete for review purposes.
Okay, then I'd look for a motion to open the case, please.
So moved. Oh,
Jen moved, and you seconded, Pete?
I'll second
Oh,
it.
good. Again, voice vote was fine. Those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. And I'd ask Dave to start this case, please.
Thank you. As you stated, the applicant is seeking multifamily, site plan review for a multifamily. Included in your packet is an application plan, supporting documents dated 1/5/24 was the initial submission, 1/18/24 was some subsequent submission, and the latest revision from dated February 1st, 2024 was in response to the TRC comment letter that it was also enclosed. And that was an updated plan set with the red parking stalls shown, potential future access, and a response to the TRC letter dated January 30th. The applicant did obtain a variance from the Zoning Board of Adjustment for the proposed multifamily use in the R2 zoning district. I did include a copy of the decision letter and the minutes from that meeting for your review. The applicant is not requesting any waivers in conjunction with this application. A technical review committee was held on January 18th, and like I had mentioned earlier, the TRC comment letter was enclosed. There was no Underwood engineer third-party review due to the extent of, the proposal. Because the plan was reviewed by staff. As you'll see, very little is changing on site except a single family is being converted into 6 units. There is a section of a connector that's being demolished that connected like the back buildings, the front buildings to the back buildings. That's being removed, and there are kind of 2 fill-in additions that are shown on the plans. There are only a few issues discussed at the technical review committee, and I'll just go over those. And one was about fire access, seemed to have been satisfied with the fire department, and then parking and access were both discussed. And the parking stalls that were shown in the latest revision, just note that they do appear to be shown partially on grass and beyond the edge of pavement. Not sure what the board, wants to do about that, but they are being shown. There's no striping being proposed that I can tell in the exterior parking lot, so I don't know how, like, for example, 3 and 4 are going to be delineated, because it looks like most of them are completely on grass. Just a matter for the, just make the board aware. Another matter was access, specifically access over Seminary Lane, because in order to effectuate the proposed plan, access on Seminary Lane is required. There is no access from Front Street to the 5 parking stalls on the plans, numbers 11 through 15, as you can see on there on the left. Does everyone see what those are? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we looked into, this was discussed with the applicant, so it's nothing new. Seminary Lane is a private driveway, and it really doesn't matter how long it's existed, whether it's been there for 5 years, 100 years, or 500 years. It doesn't matter the historical use of it. It doesn't matter if it's been used by this property or others or other people for how long. The only thing that really mattered, the only things that mattered to me as far as site plan approvals were concerned is who owns it, which is the Town of Exeter School District. And the second, does the applicant have a right of legal access to use it? Because in order to effectuate this site plan and get to those parking stalls 11 through 15, there is no other way to get there except over Seminary Lane. So the plan before you does look like and requires, access over the land of another, and that access, should be secured through either consent of the landowner or an alternative access is proposed that would no longer require access over the adjacent private property. One is shown and says connector. It says future access from existing driveway to rear parking area. It's a future. I don't think it's being proposed. Maybe we'll get some clarity here tonight, because in the response letter it says, in the event that access is not granted, we have the ability to continue a driveway. With having the ability and actually doing it, just looking for clarification on that. And that's really it. Really not, pretty straightforward application with not a lot of site work going on.
Okay.
Thanks.
Mr. Wilson?
Good evening. My name is Steve Wilson. I, along with my wife, purchased this property last August with the intention of redeveloping it. It's been my life's business as a general contractor and occasional redeveloper of properties like this. It's sort of been my business since I started my company in 1984. In Exeter, I built, it's sort of a part of our core area. I live in Kensington for a long time. And we own 81 High Street, which was a nursing home. We converted it to age-restricted housing 15 years ago and worked for building some of the car dealerships and Exeter Cycles, and we're doing Woolworth's project right now. So got a good team put together to do this, but I did purchase it personally for my daughter, who's recently moved back into the area. Her husband and her 2 young children having a hard time finding housing. So when we talk about taking the building apart, separating the building, my family will occupy and own two of the units. My daughter will, and so that's sort of our intention with the project, and isolate that from the 4 units out front, which initially, at least, we hope to be able to afford to rent those as rental apartments and manage them like we do 81 High Street and other properties in other communities around Exeter. Some quick facts about the property. I put a historical narrative on the table, which is quite interesting to read, but the property was built by a principal of the Academy, 1826. I'm paraphrasing the dates because I don't want to have to read it to you. That's why I put it up there. And then subsequently occupied by that doctor, that principal, his family, and then his daughter married a doctor. They continued to live there. I think it was Dr. Gorman, and then was subsequently conveyed to a Dr. Otis, who was also affiliated with the Academy, I believe, either he or Gorman, but you can read Gorham, but you can read that. And I'd like to, as I go along, address the whole thing about Seminary Lane. In those days, there was a women's seminary, a school there for, until, I believe, the 60s or early 70s, burned down. The town took it over, the school district took it over, and it's not dissected. That lane is part of that whole Lincoln Street, Main Street school complex. The playgrounds, the baseball field is behind the property, so they're a direct abutter, not only on the lane, but towards the back. There's a gate beyond our driveway, which accesses that rear, the rear garage and parking spaces, which would be part of the property, that would be the part of the property that Erica and my daughter and her family would occupy. So that would be their garage and their parking out back for 2 of the units. Across the lane, the property there has its primary access off of that lane. I'm not saying that's a reason that it's okay, but they placed the barricade beyond our driveway. And even when they close that barricade to traffic, which is most of the time, it respects the fact that we use that lane as well as they do. And it does go back at least 100 years that it's been that configuration. In the early days, and the doctors lived there, you went off of Front Street, but then you could continue and come out, or vice versa, onto Seminary Lane. It's unlikely that we're going to be able to convince the school district or the town or anyone to say, okay, we'll never do anything to block your access to this driveway. But I think logic would tell me that what I was thinking was a fair arrangement was we could continue to use that road since nobody's objecting and it's gone on forever. But we provided an illustrative plan where we could extend our driveway well within the confines of your requirements and zoning of the town in a very interior portion of the property, so it wouldn't have any impact on anyone other than the people using Seminary Lane would see that driveway and access the garage and parking that way. So if in the event the school district sold the school, or they decided that they didn't want anyone using that, out of the clear blue, we would have a quick and easy, it's very flat, very well drained. It would just be a matter of providing what I would hope would be a pervious driveway going to that same garage with the same parking. Excuse me. So that sort of addresses that. I'm not thinking that the board would tell me you can't use that Seminary Lane anymore, but I think it's important that you see that we have a quick relief for that situation if they decided to close it at Front Street, for instance. So the current configuration of the property is 1.85 acres, which is just over 80,000 square feet. The single-family zoning in that district is 15,000 square feet per housing, per single-family home. And I think if it was likely that that was a town road for Seminary Way, you'd see somebody subdividing this into as many as 7 or 8 house lots and then carving them up as single-family or cutting it in half, et cetera. But that's one of the reasons I think it languished on the property, on the market for so long. The building itself right now, beginning at Front Street, is 276 feet long, continuous. So very difficult to get from one side of the property to the other. It's almost a football field to walk around the property. So there's a hallway that's 32 feet long, which you'll see on I'll try to recall the exhibit numbers here, but you can see that hallway. It shows it where the driveway, since we're looking at the driveway plan, it shows the driveway going across it. By taking that out, it accomplishes a couple of things. First of all, the public safety situation means that somebody could get from one side to the other if you had a problem on either one without going all the way around the building. As a practical, also, it provides fire separation, which is complementary to current code requirements, which would require firewalls between every 2 units or a separation of 10 feet. So we accomplished that, and it's a heavily landscaped, the site is heavily landscaped and hardscaped. So to take that out is complementary to the overall site plan anyway. The building's 24,000 square feet of gross floor area, including attics and basements. It's 18,000 square feet of finished space, and 16,000 of that is on the living level. So the impediment to this is 15 bathrooms, 8 bedrooms, 4 full kitchens, 2 commercial laundries, 6 living rooms, half a dozen fireplaces, maybe 8. Sorry. And so it's quite an extensive property. The overall conversion plan is to develop it into 6 2-bedroom units, including 14 parking spaces, which, as coming off of Front Street on your plan, you see the parking spaces that you come to on the right. That's all bark mulch in that area and level. So there is a very minor, maybe 9 feet of expansion in the width of it, just converting that bark mulch area to what I would predict would be stone. And the heads of the space where Dave rightfully points out the fronts of the cars are over grass, it's actually mulch, and up against a fence. So the front 2 or 3 feet of the car with a curb stop would be able to overhang that area and provide the clearances behind and the 19 feet of a parking there, which that's the way we do it at High Street as well. Instead of paving right from bumper to bumper, we use a curb stop, and that allows people to line up on it and be able to park correctly, and they're not overhanging in the back, for instance. Without belaboring it, we're removing that connector hall, which is 8 by 32, so 256 square feet, and we would be adding 2 small additions, neither of which can be seen from anywhere off the property, any perspective off the property. And it's to provide, there's an indoor pool where it says existing building on your plan to the left. That's actually an indoor pool which we'd be removing, and then using that as a living space, kitchen, dining room area. And in that little niche there, we would be infilling approximately 20 by 18 for 2 bedrooms to serve that unit. Also in the back, it's on your plan, there's no immediate plan to do it, but we also fill in a niche back there by where the swimming pool was. There was a very large swimming pool in the back this property's been semi-abandoned for quite a time, so it was a little frog pond. The frogs all got released into the mill pond up on 111, but we filled that in and demolished that and leveling it to provide a backyard for that unit. And in the very back of the property, there's a series of fences. One that fenced from our neighbor to the side. There's another big green fence that separates us from the baseball field, holds out most of the foul balls. And the rear area has a wetland swale, which provides drainage from the area towards Lincoln Street behind all the homes there. So there's really no contemplation besides the 2 minor additions to do any site work here other than the extraordinary cleanup and renovation of the site that we've already undertaken and probably 95% complete with. So if you've been by, you might notice you can see the house now. So, but site lighting, irrigation, landscaping, all very extensive back in 1987 when Mr. Dingman acquired the property, and he just kept adding on to it. He traveled with an entourage of 6 to 8 servants. He had 4 or 5 full-time employees living here, whether he was in town or not. He had a security service. We used the old doctor's office as a gatehouse to check people's ID coming and going. So the use was just sort of a unicorn in itself. So I'll not drag you through any more of that, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you have or any concerns. And I'll just reiterate that the illustrative plan with the driveway there would be very easy for us to install in a week's time if the school board decided to close Seminary Lane, but I'm sure there would be public hearings on that, and I'm not getting any indication from the school board that they have any intention of doing that, and I think when they installed the barricade there beyond the 2 driveways, they were recognizing the historic use of that property, and it's a very safe entrance for Erica and her family to use. So we hope that you won't force us to put the driveway in now. Thank you.
Okay, any questions?
Yeah, I do. Do you mind?
No, you go first.
So as far as Seminary Lane, I don't think we can tell you can use it. We don't own it. It's private, right? Okay. So my understanding is, it's been a while since I've walked down Seminary Lane or in that area, but that barrier, I believe, is down there, so when people have drove in there to drop their kids off, they have a little turnaround area. I believe that's why the barrier is as far down as it is. Again, I would have to go ask the school to clarify that.
Yeah.
But I just want to throw that out there.
Okay, so-
I don't think they've put the barrier down there so that,
No, I mean, I think, I think first of all, there's no place, when somebody drives down to that barricade and lets anybody out of the car,
Yeah.
they have to do a K-turn to turn
They
around. There's
do.
no turnaround there.
No, there's
And
no,
we've
but it
seen-
gives them
but
some room to
We've seen
do it. Mm-hmm.
buses using that entry and stuff like that. I'm not asking for permission from the board to use Seminary Lane.
yeah, we can't.
Right, I'm not asking for that, okay? And
Okay.
I hope that in your decision, you make it clear that you're not. And I hope that you'll recognize that we have a quick solution to that if it ever became.
Okay.
if
I
it
just want to
ever
make sure I was
became-
clear,
No,
understanding of
no, I
what you were
understood, and
saying.
I want you to be clear.
Okay.
I'm not asking the board for permission. I don't think it's necessary, to be
Okay.
honest with you.
By the way, the fire was in 61.
Okay, thanks for filling in that blank.
Lowell added.
I'm not that familiar. I think I've walked Seminary Lane on the breast cancer walk. I think we go that route. Is that wide enough comfortably for two-way traffic?
I think so, yeah,
Oh, it could be.
yeah.
I don't know. Is it gonna, just kind of curious. And then parking spaces 8, 9, 10, and 11 are all indoors, is that it? Those are garages?
Yes.
Okay. That's all for now.
Yeah, I mean, scaled out, it might be like 18 feet wide. You know, you want 20, usually 24 you spec out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know. But I have a question, because you had said, I get what you're saying about the parking on the grass, about overhang,
Yeah.
but that's not what I was talking about. What I'm talking about is if you look at the existing conditions plan that shows the edge of pavement, and it is a portion of lot one, parking stall one, the corner is on grass, and you have to drive over grass to get there. Number two is half of the stall is on grass. The number 3 parking stall is completely on grass. There's not an overhang, it's on grass. It's shown completely on grass. And 4 is pretty much completely on grass as well, except a little sliver. And then 7 is probably a little more than half on grass. And then 13 is probably 60% on grass. So I see what you're saying about a grass little hangover on curb stops, but that's not what I was talking about. And there's no curb stops shown on here, so I don't really know. But there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stalls, or half or all of them are grass.
Okay, so let me say this, none of them are over grass. Okay,
But
that
that's
was the
not what
point.
your
Now, let me
plan
finish.
shows.
But that's the reason I brought it up, and I was talking about broadening the ones on that side. And these, where 1 and 2 are, they do encroach on some planters. And I'm not gonna park in the planters, I'm gonna obviously clean that up. So if, you think it's appropriate, but I had no intention, and there's no grass there at all. There's no grass on that whole side of the building. It's all flat, and it's bark mulch, and
Or bark mulch, yeah.
we are proposing to expand the parking, so I didn't want to imply
Where?
that we weren't. Excuse me?
Where? The plans just don't show it. That's what we're asking.
We're showing 3, part of 4, 1 and 2, and we're showing a back tracing of paving, so 3 will have to be
A
graded. on
back
the-
tracing of paving, where?
Well, you can see the edge of the paving, right?
Yeah, but the edge of the pavement is, this
Okay.
3 is completely off the edge of paving.
That's what I just said. Will it be expanding? I said that.
Well, I know, but
said the width of it, and I'm not trying to hide the fact that that we need to do a little bit of paving or pervious paving out there.
Okay, that's what I had asked at the TRC, to provide that on the plan. Like, provide what you're doing on the
that's fine.
plan. That's all
Sorry,
I
I
was.
misunderstood
That's
you.
all I was asking.
Yeah.
Whatever you're proposing to do, porous pavement, whatever, show it on the plans.
Okay.
That's what I was asking.
Sure, that's easy enough. I had a hard
Yeah,
enough
we
time getting
can't-
Henry to finish the survey.
Yeah, I-
The submittal date, okay, so I'm just saying, and we did ask him to show that, but he's been out of the country, family matter, so
Yeah.
I can get that done, it's not a problem, we're just talking about it, so
Yeah.
I'm happy to do whatever you guys think is
Okay.
appropriate.
That's, obviously you don't want to have grass there for some plowing and
Or
mud
mulch
season
or
and everything
whatever.
else. You gotta have,
Yeah,
Okay.
we took a
Yeah,
tree
okay.
down where that number 3 is, a
Yeah.
big pine tree,
Yeah.
so other than that, it's a pretty easy conversion.
Yeah, I think on a similar note, number 1, I don't see how that car would get in and out, because it looks like without
can't- it
driving
can't.
over
Yeah.
landscaping.
Yeah, I'd mentioned that. You drive-
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I missed that,
I'll
sorry.
make sure that we've met, Dave's comment was that we meet the back, the travel aisle requirements, so I'll make sure that's clearly illustrated, and it's in your regulations, so we know how to do it. Like I say, we've already asked Henry to do that, so it's one of the deficiencies for tonight's meeting.
yeah, that we can take care of that with a condition very easily, yep.
And I'm happy to have
Oh, no.
Dave review that when it's done, if it's okay with the board, rather than come back and...
Let me open it to the public, please.
I had one
Oops,
more
excuse me.
question.
Jen?
That's okay. So on the diagram that has the red markups with the,
Driveway.
yeah, the future access driveway marked up, there's another red rectangle that's not labeled, and I was just wondering what that is. It's like kind of north of 13, 14, 15 parking spaces.
I don't see it
It's
either.
okay if I...
I don't have it.
Point to it, right?
Yeah,
I don't see it.
This?
Yeah, that's not on the...
Oh, you know what, maybe that was I'm just noticing all my drawings I'm able to edit, and maybe I drew it. That's funny, okay,
Trying to help you
sorry, my bad,
redesign it.
my bad.
Jennifer, we gave you that plan just to make sure you were paying attention.
Okay.
Well, usually it's like flattened and I can't change it, but this one's allowing me to change it, so I'm not gonna click on anything.
It's a miracle.
That you can change. Okay.
okay, let me open the public, to the public. If anybody would like to speak to this, please step to the microphone and introduce yourself. So we know who's speaking and who those viewers at home can also. So the floor is yours, ma'am.
Hi, good evening. My name is Sally Brown Russ, and I have the pleasure to be the new neighbor of
Could you
Mr.
speak a little
Wilson.
louder, please? Thank you.
I'm Mr. Wilson's new neighbor.
Okay.
My home is at 79 Front Street,
79, got it, yep.
so it's to the east, and it's the edge of our house is shown on the plan. I have a few questions. I guess they're not really for the board, maybe they're for Mr. Wilson, but we haven't had a chance to talk about them. But originally, there were 12 parking spaces listed, and now there are 15. And I'd like to ask why there need to be more, especially since the extra spaces are almost all located directly along the fence that we share, and why there need to be a lot of extra spaces. So that's my first question, if there's a good reason to have all the spaces, if they're not necessary, could we remove them and go back to 12? Possibly. The second question I have is simply about lighting. Anyone parking here is going to be, I just don't know if there's going to be lighting required, if it will change the lighting plan. Is there a lighting plan? That will certainly affect me. My bedroom happens to be directly in the space that's closest to space number 3. So these parking spaces are quite close to where we sleep, and I'm expecting it to be much different of an experience to sleep in my bedroom once this is completed, which is another reason why it would be great if there could be fewer parking spaces in that location. One of the parking provisions of the town is numbered 9.13.4. And this is how it reads: parking areas shall be located in such a manner so as not to unduly harm the owners or occupants of neighboring parcels. So I think I would just humbly propose that that could apply to me in this situation. And that's pretty much the extent of my interest. I guess I'd like to know how trash is going to be disposed of. Is there going to be some central dumpster, and is that going to be located on our fence? I say our shared fence. The fence belongs to Mr. Wilson. I just, having 12 to 15 to who knows how many people living next door to me where formerly there had been a single family is quite a change in the tenor of the street. And my overlooking this busy driveway, this future busy driveway, is unfortunate for me. And I just wanted to raise those questions because the sound of people coming and going, of them locking their cars and unlocking them, the sound of people taking their trash out, if there is to be some sort of a dumpster space, which I'm expecting might be in the front where all the 4 condos, where all the 4 units will be, is of concern to me and my family. Secondly, Mr. Wilson mentioned that these are now rentals. I think there's been some cross-talking and confusion about what the intention is. Are these rental units? Are these condos? They have been referred to both in the submissions that he's written for the town, for both the zoning and for tonight, what he said. And I think that makes a difference to me too. Now, of course, the planning committee can't make him do one thing or the other, but I guess I'm asking Mr. Wilson, are you planning to make these rentals, or are you planning to make these condos? And that's an important distinction for me. I think that's all I want to say, but just to ask that there be consideration about the parking situation, which is so close to our home. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I ask the bedroom count for the units?
Yeah, there's, all the units will...
Sorry, can you speak in the mic?
Yep.
Sorry.
Please step to the microphone.
All the units are what?
Viewers at home.
My interpretation of the parking requirements is that there'll be 6 units there that will have at least 2 bedrooms. One of them has 3
So
bedrooms.
that's 12.
Plus 2
2 guests.
guest spaces.
You need 14.
Right, and so I think that in space number 3 is entirely, it's the only one that's really entirely on paving area, and I think it is the one that overlaps the neighbor's, house across the way. Between that, the front, that is a 6-foot high fence. It's solid 5 feet high. So there's not going to, and there's a couple of very low voltage lights already on the back of that fence, my side low, that just shine on those 3 parking spaces that already exist there. So there's 30 feet of paving there, plus 6 feet, so 36, but there's enough for 3 spaces. So I can by your zoning drop number 3. So I don't know if that's a throwback the 15, but I need at least 14. So 4 of them plus one guest space is going to be in the back and not visible from the neighbor. The 3 of the 4 units out front will have garage spaces, so the primary occupant will drive into a garage, which is no different than it's always been. To describe this as a single-family home previously, I think is a bit of a misnomer, since there was probably 14 people living there all the time, probably 8 of them all the time, or 6 of them all the time, and then when the owner came, it was a dozen, but that's inconsequential. I just want to describe the situation properly, and it was certainly a lot quieter for the last 5 years when it was virtually abandoned. So that was a pretty quiet situation. I'll point out that the fence and the nose of the parking are 5 to 6 feet onto our property. So the neighbor's house is 15 inches off the property line. So I don't know what I can do to make that more private, but that's the condition. It's not something I'm creating. It's just always been like that. So I'm happy to. What was the last? Oh, dumpsters. So there's an area in the fenced-in area to the rear for totes and garbage cans. You'll see on the illustration that the garages have an extra 5 or 6 feet beyond the 19 feet required at the head of them. So my plan was not to have a dumpster, because I just don't find them to be that hygienic. And so the people who live there will have the responsibility of taking out their garbage like everyone else does, and returning the totes to the garage. And whether it's a condominium or an apartment, that'll be strictly enforced. So it's not like you're going to have any more likelihood of garbage out on the street. But I don't think a dumpster in an enclosure is in the scale and scope of the project, especially since it's in 2 separate areas. As far as condominium goes, or apartment, in order for me to, a condominium is a form of ownership. That's all it is. So when somebody tells you they're going to condominiumize it, they can keep all the condos and rent them. So I reserve the right to sell them to individual owners, but my immediate plan, if you want to know what that is, although that's entirely up to me, I think, would be to have Erica own her 2 units as condominiums, and my wife and I would continue to own and manage the apartments, and they'll have to be condominiums, but they'll be rentals, and I run a tight ship. So it's probably better off that I'm managing them as rentals than individuals are squabbling over the rules. But there's 2 philosophies on that, but I think I have to tell you that I think that's up to us. But it will have to be condominiumized for ownership purposes.
Clarification,
Yeah, John?
parking space 3 and 4 don't exist now? Those are the 2 that are partially on the grass.
You know, half of
there's someone
5
park on the grass
and
there
half
now.
of 4 exists. So there's 3 spaces there. So what we're talking about is having 4 at this point, and it would require 3 or 4 feet of expansion to the right, 3 or 4 feet of expansion to the left, and that's it. A very minor expansion.
But they're not parking spaces
no, they're not.
now.
No, they are not.
So the car that parks at number 5 is at least, 10 or 20 feet away from your neighbor's home.
Yeah, as you go towards the rear, they get further away from that house.
But that parking space 3 and 4 are they won't put them in her bedroom, but they're close. And
No,
I know
they're actually now,
part of it is that the 15 inches you talked about, that is not your issue, I can understand.
No, I'm not saying it's not my issue, I'm just saying there's a fence where
Yeah.
the tip of the car is on that plan right now.
Right.
Beyond that fence right there is 5.5 or 6 feet to the property line towards their house. And then it's 15 inches to the house, or 18, I'm paraphrasing, but you can see the lot line.
Yeah.
So already there's a fair isolation and a respectful isolation, and there's the potential I could plant some bushes on her side of on my property, but her side of the fence. So I did try to meet with the neighbor a few times to discuss that, but wasn't successful in that.
Back to
So
lighting.
I'm happy to eliminate 3, because I think that's the one that's right perpendicular
Okay.
to her
All right.
bedroom. And I thought it was the
Mr. Wilson,
kitchen.
back to the lighting.
Yeah,
And there are, I hear you say there's 2 existing low-lit lights.
correct.
Do you see the other lighting for doors or illumination for the driveway that you would be adding, or?
No, there's already low voltage lights to the right and left of that parking area, little
Yeah,
low
they're
voltage
low, yeah.
lights, and then there's 2 low voltage lights on the fence down low that just shine, everything shines down.
Yeah.
So you can see the parking, but if you're standing there, there's no light, and I don't think there's any scatter to the house next door. The entrances already have lights. They've been there a long time. They're
Yeah,
nice.
Okay, so
So I'm not anticipating the addition of any
kind of
lights.
normal lights by the door and so on? Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
No, there's going to be freestanding, or they will be attached to the buildings?
They're already there. So at the entrances, one entrance, there's 2 sconces. That's probably 60 feet from her house, at least. The other one's probably 60 feet, which is the front entrance, which has a nice historic chandelier on the porch. And then there's a light over by the garage doors, just one light that illuminates the front of that garage.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's entirely plenty of light at this point and not a lot of light pollution. But I think it's a good concern, because you could make it a mess with more lighting, so. The doctor's office has a light at the door, which is facing the driveway, so the neighbor can't see that, but it does provide the lighting for the driveway entrance.
Dave, do we have any plans to go look at it?
What do you mean?
Go walk the property?
Plans? That's
Yeah,
up to
did you talk about that? I know
Sidewalk.
That's up to the board.
Okay.
Yeah, I leave that up to the planning.
Okay, let me get back to public, see if there's any other people who would like to speak to this, one way or the other. If so, please step to your microphone and introduce yourselves. If not, let's bring any other questions from the board to consider.
I do, if I could, Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Nancy.
Could I just have some clarification on the 6-foot fence? Who owns it? Whose property is it on?
It's shown on the site plan.
I know, but I thought he said something about it being, I got confused by something he said, so I just
Sorry.
wanted clarification.
It's our fence.
It's on your, so
It's
it's
on
on
my
your.
property by somewhere between 5 and 6 feet, the entire length of the property line.
Maybe that's, there was
Yeah,
something you said
yeah,
that, you got it too. Okay, thank you.
I
So-
think the relevant thing is it's a visual barricade to their house, no matter where
Absolutely.
it is. So it's helpful when cars are pulling in, as they do now,
Right,
that the lights are shining into a board fence, not
yeah.
not
Right, which is something
a
that I
three-rail, split-rail fence, for instance.
like
This
to
doesn't-
do as a condition if we get there, that be maintained and whatever. But, so why would you put the plantings on the neighbor's property instead of your own? Is there no room?
It's not the neighbor's property, it's mine.
No, I thought you
The
said
neighbor's
that
side.
you would talk to the neighbor about
The
putting.
other side of the fence. So
Yes.
It's on the neighbor's side, but it's my
But
property.
it's still your property, thank you.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
another clarification I
Sorry.
needed.
Yeah.
Got it.
Fence is not on the property line.
Right, so,
I don't know. There were a few things that were said, and it was really starting to get confusing for me, so I needed to make sure.
Okay.
So, okay. And with,
Any other comments or questions?
I have a few.
Go ahead.
This is in the historic district. And has it gone, I see the zoning minutes. Did it go to the Historic District Commission, the renovation?
We went to the HDC, had a preliminary hearing with them. They are not they waived jurisdiction as long as I wasn't affecting the historic houses. We explained to them the addition, showed them where it was. We used the same illustrations. They said they didn't need to see it.
Okay.
I forget the date of that. But I'm sure they remember, and it's probably in the meetings, in the meeting notes. So yes, we have been there, and they're not going to get involved by their own. Just
Who touched that piece?
That was one of my questions.
Oh,
No, go.
beat you to it, Pete.
I've got answers.
He's fast.
All right, I just wrote down my other questions, and now I'm blanking on what they were. I'll find them. Here we go. Oh, yeah, this might be a Dave question, but we have a requirement for 5% of parking spaces have to be EV charger ready on multifamily. Would that apply to this development?
Well, it does, but it's in anytime you're in an existing garage, there's power there. So we're not gonna make them put them outside.
Okay.
So we consider it, satisfied, because
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
sure in one of these multiple garages, there's an outlet
Yeah.
that can
Okay.
be used for EV. That's the way we've kind of interpreted in the past.
Yeah, all right. That makes sense.
Good question, however.
Like the 6 units, I'm not super clear looking at these drawings, like where they'll be accessing their unit, like how they'll be arriving home and going, like where's their front doors gonna be?
Yeah.
Like, will there be additional paving required for like little walkways to get to front doors and whatnot? None of that's really shown on the plans. I'm not clear with what's going on there. Sure.
Yeah, please.
So I'm just going to start with Unit 1 out front and Unit 2. Those both have, as you see on the plan, existing stairs and entry doors. If you go back to Unit 3, at the end of that hallway, Shane, where Erica uses that to the right, down and to the right there is an existing stairs and porch. I think that's, indicated on the plan, although the red line sort of blurs it. So that's an existing entrance to Unit 3. And Unit 4, if you look at the niche that's bordered by red and blue back there where we've removed the walkway, there's a set of granite stairs right there that enters Unit 4. All of those are accessed currently by sidewalks.
Already.
Correct. Then if you go to Unit 5, right where you see the end of the arrow, that's a walkway going over to that, and then that's a pair of doors that enter that unit right there. And then if you go back to Unit 6, you see where those two doors are, that's a main entry to that area, and the sidewalk's drawn incorrectly. The sidewalk is correct on the site plan. You can see, if you look at the plat of land, you see the sidewalks accurately, they exist. So no, there won't be any additional walkways. There's gotta be 5,000 square feet of brick walkways on this site, so they're all accessed already, so there'll be no change with that.
Okay.
We're used to looking at new construction. That has everything laid out, but it's already there.
That was all my questions. Thank you.
Okay. Pete, did you come up with anything, or has anything been answered for you?
Well, I guess I'd like to go back to the zoning board of adjustment conditions.
Okay.
And I'm going to assume, if I can find them here, Because there were two.
There were two. Yes.
One of which is the owner occupied,
Yes.
and I think that's been solved. And then the other one was, I think, a little different, that it required, their approval was contingent upon, as I read it, our approval.
Yes.
And that's, well, I guess that's the way it should be, but I don't recall that having been a condition
Before.
frequently in zoning board adjustment approvals.
Yeah, it is.
I beg your pardon?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
They do that.
Because I don't recall having seen it, but that's,
Yeah, I do. I mean,
All right.
this is nothing new.
all right, thank
And it's a
you.
little redundant because it's triggered
Well,
anyway.
yeah, but that's,
So
it just
even
seemed
if
to
they
me-
didn't place that condition, they'd still need site plan.
I was just wondering whether some additional burden was being placed by having that particular language there. And I think you satisfied that question.
Well, you'd have to prove it to effectuate it.
Well, I mean,
Either way.
once again,
Yeah.
it just seemed a little
Yeah.
different than we've been dealing with before. And I always worry about having some kind of precedent set. But I'm thinking that's okay now. I'm all right.
Well, we always have interesting things from ZBA.
Yep.
So I just have one more question, if I could, Mr. Chair. So in response to the TRC questions, sorry, hold on there. The response is appropriate access will be provided to support the fire department equipment for life safety. When does that get provided? At what point? Has the fire department walked through the property with you and?
Yes, and they were at the TRC meeting. The discussion was not to get a fire truck in there. He said plainly they would not bring a fire truck within the site on the driveway. In the effect of a smaller apparatus like an ambulance or something, I think he agrees that they can drive an ambulance in either one of these driveways and have plenty of area to turn around. And he gave me some cut sheets on the size of those and stuff. So I think that maybe the comments are a little misleading.
Okay.
And
Well, the
he
comment
also,
was from
he
you
gets
that-
another,
okay.
yeah, he gets another bite. That's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
By our hand, not by his, but
Right.
he gets another bite at that apple because he's the authority having jurisdiction over any occupancy of the building, which I still have to get a building permit and inspections for occupancy.
Right. So
But he
when you-
was clear that he wasn't going to be driving a fire.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, follow up if I could. So when you said either driveway, are you still talking about access to Seminary Lane?
My intention is to continue to use Seminary Lane as an access to the rear garage and parking, because there's no objection to it from the school board. And if they decided that, they even sent me a letter and says you can't use it anymore, I've illustrated that I would install a driveway, although that's highly unlikely, because this driveway serves as a main access for buses, playground people. You know, I can't tell you when they open it or why, but they open the gate quite a bit and use the lane themselves as a sidewalk on it.
Well,
So I'm not proposing to change that. And I don't
I think it's also used when they have ball games down there. They'll have 'em
Yeah, it is.
on weekends.
But they own
Yeah.
it, so they can use it
Yeah.
whatever way they want.
And they own
It's
it,
the
so they
pickup
can
and
tell me
drop
not
off
to use it
for the
anytime I
school.
want, but in the
It's a traffic
discussions with
overlap,
them.
That's what it is, yeah.
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 I mean, there's parents driving in there every morning and every afternoon to pick
Yeah, I
up and
see
drop
them.
off their kids, yeah.
I guess I just don't understand what our role is as far as someone telling us they're going to continue to do something that it's private.
Well, this is kind of like Oak Street Extension. It's not a town road, we don't know who owns it.
Well, we do
Everybody
know who
uses
owns it, but we do know, right? And I'm just saying, I don't know what our role is, but I just feel uncomfortable about it, that's all.
If for some reason they denied access, that would not be our problem, no?
It's not our problem, but I guess what I want to suggest is that we
Do that now?
I want to be clear, at least I will, that that red mark where it says this will be the future access from existing driveway to rear parking area, I think it should be the access to the rear parking area. Otherwise, aren't we saying, oh, it's okay to use a driveway a roadway that is private? Maybe, I'm just saying.
Well, is it private? It's public school, but public,
No, it's private.
It's private. They told us it's private
yep.
at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, what I explained at the TRC, I mean, it really, I don't know that it's owned by the school makes any difference, except you can't claim adverse possession against a municipality, so regardless of past history of
Yeah.
use, there's no adverse possession claim there. But
It's not our big
it's
deal.
like, it just, I take this as anywhere. If this is anywhere, anywhere, so 2 properties next to each other, someone has access, showing access on a plan that's planned by the approver, you want the okay from
Right.
both,
So,
from the landlord.
so the way I'm approaching this, and please tell me if I'm wrong, but that I think we need to make sure, without somebody giving access to use that road, that's a private road, I would like to see us discuss the access not including that.
What if we just had a disclaimer, though?
We can deal with that as a condition of approval.
Yeah, we
Okay,
don't
I
guarantee
just
that.
wanna,
We don't guarantee
Disclaimer
that.
with what?
Well, I mean, that, somehow just expressing that, we're not giving permission to use that road and,
True,
it's
but
the
then
owner's.
effectively, you're canceling out 5 parking spots, and now they're down to 9.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not canceling it. I'm just saying it could get canceled out.
Well, if you say you can't use it, we're not
I
giving
didn't say you can't
permission to
use it. I just said, we're not giving you permission to use it, just to clarify that, so no
Yeah.
one comes back on us and say, well, you approved the plan as it was, but I think we need to put some language in there to say,
well, I'm gonna suggest, because these plans have to be updated because of the parking spaces, and so I personally would like to see, instead of that little box saying future access from existing driveway to a rear parking area, to not say future. That means
you'd like that built.
the access, as we know it, to those back parking spaces are from the Front Street entrance.
What if we say like access if needed or something like that?
It's the same thing as future, isn't it?
Well, future, I don't know. I mean, we've done it before. We've had like a parking lot where we gave a variance for a fewer number of parking spaces, but they showed that they could have more parking if needed. So I don't know what the language was on that, but like,
Yeah, but that's not what I'm getting at. Maybe I'm not explaining myself clearly. What that's saying is, basically, to me, we're giving permission to use an access road that's private. That, we don't have the right to do that. So I'm just concerned that, that's.
but he's telling us that he has permission. I don't know, yeah.
No,
That's
but
tough.
I think some kind of disclaimer saying that we're not giving permission to use the access road, or check with the attorney or something.
Okay, I think that would be the wiser thing, is to at least check with our town council if
Yeah.
disclaimer will do it.
I'd like to get back to the public for a minute.
Is the public hearing still open?
It's still open, and I want to make sure that the previously answered questions have
Thank you, sir.
met your questions.
I simply thought of something else I wanted to ask, and it
Sure,
has to do
please.
with what Mr. Cameron mentioned about the conditions of the zoning board's approval. I don't know if you guys are the ones to answer this question, or possibly the council of the town, but if it's conditional that it remain owner occupied, and his daughter is planning to live in those 2 back units, in 60 years, she won't be living there anymore, I'm assuming. She's probably won't be. So does that mean some heir of Mr. Wilson's must always live on site, or beyond the life, let's say, of the person who's living there now? What happens? How does this is never going to be a single family home again once this all happens, and if it's conditional upon that, it seems counterintuitive that you're going to you're going to promise forevermore a member of my family will live at 81 Front Street. I don't understand how that can work logically. This is a historic district, and this is precedent setting to have allowed the zoning board for having allowed this change to take place. And it's just a question I have in general, like if it's conditional, we can't promise that. He can't, I mean, no one can promise that someone in their family will always live at this address. So anyway, maybe somebody can explain to me how that is going to be enforced. That's my question, and thank you for letting me ask it.
Certainly.
Yeah, I can explain that.
Can you answer
Because
that one?
the condition isn't for, the condition is, on the condition that should the units become rental units. So if they're all rental units, one of the units will remain owner occupied. So someone who owns the property shall live in one of the units. It doesn't attach to Mr. Wilson's family or his heirs. It's whoever owns it. So if it's rental units, what I'm hearing, if he condominiumizes it, that whole thing goes away, that whole requirement. Because there's a condition in our residential conversions where you can convert any single family to up to 4 units in Exeter under certain criteria. But if it's rental, one of them has to remain owner occupied. So whoever owns the property needs to also live there. So then one unit, the owner needs to live there, 5 of the units need to be rental. How it is enforced, well, we don't check on that. It's usually complaint driven. If that condition and someone was living next door and saying, hey, I don't think the owner's living over there. And then they contact us, we can go and we can enforce it because it is a condition and a violation of zoning. But if he condominiumizes it, which he says he's gonna do, then that owner occupied requirement goes away. Does that answer your question?
I think it does, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
You're right.
That's an important distinction,
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
a very important distinction.
So if it's not a condominium, when he puts it on the market, it will be. If you
do you mean?
decide to sell that whole property, then, you're not going to have your daughter living there. Then
yeah, if
you
someone-
might that'll be your opportunity.
If someone sells the property, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it. If someone sells the property, then he can change it to condos and.
They could change it to
Whoever.
condos, or they could rent out the units, but then the owner of the
Yeah,
property needs
yeah.
to live in one of the 6 units.
Yeah.
That's it.
Because there will always be an owner of the property.
There will always be an owner.
That's the idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a rental situation, yeah.
And it's not.
Or a condo
unlike-
situation, either
It's
one.
not, Nancy, it's not running with the land. Remember the concept of things running with the land as opposed to running with the owner?
Yes,
This is running with the owner.
yes. I was totally lost, but yes, I do remember. It's just the legal term.
We're back-
I got it. We
We're
got
back to
it.
real property 101.
We are, but it's going to be he already said he's going to divide it into 2 condos associations almost, right? One's going to be for your daughter for 2 units or 3 units, and then you're going to
They'll
have 4.
condo all the units.
The condo,
Yeah.
all of them, yeah. She'll just own those.
Yes.
That's the only.
No. I just wanted to make sure we all are on the
It's
same
the only way
page.
I could convey any of the units would be to condominiumize them. I think what the zoning, as Dave says, refers to is if I said, okay, I'm going to convert this to 6 units, rent them all, continue to own them all, and get out of town, so I think there's a hazard in that for
That's
the
why your
town.
daughter would have to be still there for you to do that.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she would have to be an owner.
Yes.
It's
She'd
not
have
the
to-
owner's family.
Family, it's the owner.
It's the owner occupied.
So, last
She has to
week I
be on
asked that
the,
question, someone told me different,
whether
but
they could
thank you.
join own it,
Okay.
like they could both be on the deed and one of them could live there, but it can't be the daughter or the son if they're not, it can't be anyone that's not on the deed, who doesn't own the property.
Okay, now I have to remember who told me as long as it's a family member, it's okay. That was
Well,
wrong.
that's not the way this is.
No, it's good. That's okay. Good clarification.
Maybe you could get away with that and people
what I
could
get
do it
for
and be fine
assuming
with
we
it, no
all
one's gonna
know.
complain, but that's not what that
Right,
says.
okay, thank you.
Is that clear now?
Well, for now, I'm not going to promise you it's going to stay clear.
Oh, John, all right, did you have another?
Yeah, I do, and this might not be planning board so much as, I do want to talk about just the front building. So you're going to divide that into 4 units, and you might want to stand up so everyone can hear. But what do we have for any exterior changes? There's got to be some. I mean, the exterior of the building,
No,
it's going to look exactly the same.
the building is.
I won't know you move things around inside, and you're
no.
going to have separate, all your electrics.
Already, if you look at some point historically, the front historic building was 2 units. There's 2, it's symmetrical, so it's like split, there was even a wall down the middle of it, and there was an entry to the right, entry to the left. Theoretically, that was probably when the same family, but 2 generations lived there.
Okay.
So they each occupied one side or the other.
Yeah.
Then you go down a hallway, a pretty short hallway, and there was a carriage house. That's that lateral runs parallel to the street
Oh, yeah.
where the 1 and 2 parking spaces are. There's an entrance right there because that was a 4-bedroom, 4-bath servants' quarters. So it has a kitchen, living room, 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, its own entrance. The pool house also, that will serve the future pool house. So there's no change. You walk through the door, there'll be a partition on the right that's not there now, but that's inside. And where the causeway comes down, the cut-off end of that causeway will be a sliding door that's already there and 2 steps down to the ground. So no, you will not be able to tell. And the 2 additions that we're proposing, you will not be able to see them from anywhere except on the property. If you went back to our neighbors and you looked over the fence, over the pool, you'd see the face of that one, but it would not appear different. It's all in the same architecture.
I was going to say, it's not going to be a box stuck up.
No, it's consistent architecture, even though it's in different dates. It's all Greek Revival front to back.
And in anticipation of them becoming condos, all utilities are going to be divided?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. That was,
It already has 2 gas services and 2 electrical services and 2 water services. So the back 2 units have the separate utilities entirely. And then now in this day and age, you can privately meter the water, sewer, gas, and electric just by adding little meters in line of each of them. And they remote read to a little board, so you can tell how much power everyone uses. But the entire place is heated, air conditioned. Even the garage is air conditioned. So,
But no solar panels.
no solar panels.
So that means so if you sold them, you'd have to change the electrical, they'd have to have their own boxes by then, right?
No, it's no longer done
meters?
that way. You can privately meter, meaning there's already 2 meters there, so there's already a separation. But each of the feeds, each part of the building, each unit already has its own electrical panel. So you just put an inline meter that feeds that panel, and it tells you how much that panel uses. So the house is already dissected electrically and heat and air conditioning into the quadrants that you see on the plan. Very little, some change, I mean, I'm not.
do you know why it was divided up like that?
Well, because I think the front was a duplex to begin with.
Oh, okay.
And the pool house has its own heating and cooling system because it's a pool house.
Yeah.
And the 4-bedroom, 4-bath former carriage house, currently the servants' quarters, has its own boiler. I mean, there's 6 heating systems in the property, probably 10 condensers and air handlers, probably 15 air handlers. So it's already all broken up. So it's not a tough one. It is complex, but not for us. It's routine.
So I'm wondering if, Mr. Chair, do you mind if I ask another question?
Yes.
Could you mind or you don't? Could you bring up the unit one again, and just kind of use the pointer to show me where the additions,
These ones, this one?
yeah, but I wanted to see it up
Well, no,
there.
Right there.
The additions, so they're not going to be anywhere near the backwood area, so you're not going to have to worry about that. Okay, and that's what you mean by no one would see them? Yeah. And then still no trees, nothing to worry about there. Okay, thank you.
What's the plan for the doctor's office building? I'm curious.
I am too. Because it can't be an ADU because it would count as a unit. So that would then become a seventh unit. But I think that somebody could have a home occupation like an office who lives there and use that as an office.
Yeah, the little
And
live work.
I mean, once again, it's like, heating, air conditioning, a full antique bathroom, but new, you know what I mean? So it looks made to look like an old bathroom, but it's a full bathroom. So it would make a fine living quarters for some bachelor across the street from the Exeter Inn, but couldn't do that. So I'm hopeful that somebody will need an office, an insurance, even a doctor, I suppose, but that would be up, they'd have to come to the board and get permission to do whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd like to not have it sit there unused.
Any other questions? Any other questions from the public? Well, then we close the public session, bring it back to the board. Let's talk a little bit about potential conditions. So I think we need to address the
Mr. Chair, I personally don't feel comfortable voting positively on this until I want to see how the parking works.
Oh.
I don't
Yeah, me too.
think that's something we could condition. I think it's a little bit too haphazard the way it's drawn currently, and I don't really believe it works, and I'd really like to have an engineer draw the parking. So, which the applicant said he would do, but I don't know. I personally would rather see it before approving it rather than having it be a condition.
I agree with
And then
that.
just saying,
I think that's right.
yeah.
Okay,
I think you're right.
So when can we meet there?
Well, I don't know if we need to go there in person. I just want to see it on the plan. I mean, if we want to do a site visit, I'd entertain that, but
Yeah, and I really would like to ask the town planner to talk to town council about my concerns about,
how we can approve.
yeah, I really don't want
Or how
to
we
guess
should
on
address-
this.
how
I
we
don't want to
should
leave us
address
open
the
for an issue. Yeah,
Intended use of,
yes.
yeah, okay.
In other words, won't do it in a condition. You want
No,
something more-
no,
more
I
safe.
want advice before. Yes.
It is kind of new territory for it, so,
Well, understood.
right?
But every once in a while, we're supposed to do that.
So we all agree that we'd like to see it drawn, so I think we need to have a motion to table, but I think within that process, we need to make it clear to Mr. Wilson is what we are looking for or expect. If you have any, do you understand what we're talking about, what we'd like to see? Okay, sure.
First of all, I have no problem coming back and showing you a formal parking plan, so I just don't want you to think you're positioning us at all.
Okay.
And second, because we've already asked to have it done, presumably I'll be paying for it anyway. The other thing is, and I'll make a suggestion, because I have contemplated and discussed this way. I think I agree with you that it's not your place to give me permission to use that area, but I think it would be appropriate for you to attach a condition that A, you're not giving me permission to do that, and B, that if the occasion arises, that we would be obliged to come back to this board or the appropriate, the planner, whoever, with a formalized plan for the driveway. And if you really feel like, what I don't want you to do is tell me put in another 2,000 square feet of hot top on the site, and we're not going to let you use Academy Way. I don't think it's any more your purview, but I understand your logic, you know what I mean? If you approve the plan without having a contingency plan, then you'll have a non-conforming, if they said you can't use the road, you'd have a non-conforming approved site plan.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that would be, I'm saying that out loud because I think there's a way to not wind up with unnecessary site disturbance.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
And,
Yep.
and also monitor the progress, say that the building inspector would have to issue a permit for the construction of the driveway. And I could even have Henry throw a driveway on the drawing. But I don't want to put that driveway in. And I don't think anybody wants to have more site disturbance here and the travel distance from all the traffic coming in on Front Street. I think one of the good things about the current use of the property is that the occupants are dissected by the two entrances. So that would be, A, let's reconvene. And B, you'll have time to talk to town council.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with
I'm not going to do
contingency
any of
plans.
this work next week anyway, so I mean, let's take our time and do it right.
The other thing I want to take into consideration is we have a roundabout going in there, and I
No,
don't,
up the street.
it's up the street further,
Yeah.
that's where I was going. I
Yeah.
can't remember
Yeah.
how far down.
It's kind of
Yeah.
close, no?
It's close.
It's close, but it's not, it
yeah,
doesn't impact
I
us.
figured they already
But-
took that into consideration, but
What
I,
else is
Yeah.
you
the
talking-
roundabout
The
is
roundabout.
going to be in that
Yes,
area.
yeah.
So could I throw a couple other thoughts, just so we have it on the
Sure.
table now?
Let's get it clear.
So the 6-inch fence, that it should be maintained, and the plantings should
6
be.
foot.
6 foot.
I said inch, didn't I? Sorry.
It's a tiny fence.
6-foot fence should be maintained because of the neighbor being right there.
Yeah.
And plantings, if there's some plantings that they could do to help buffer. I don't know, Jennifer's the expert on plantings, but if they could be so many feet high to help with buffering of sound, I'm throwing thoughts out there. And lighting, I think I was okay with that, no dumpsters, condo, updating the parking. That was it for me. I'm concerned about the Seminary Lane and that fence and possibly some plantings for the neighbors.
And to that end, may I just, because
Absolutely.
I'll talk to the attorney. What I struggle with is, I thought about that, about the condition of saying, we're not giving you permission to use Seminary Lane.
Well, we can't.
But does that mean you can still count those 5 parking spots over there? Because you absolutely know they will be using Seminary Lane to get there. They can't access it any other way.
I thought they could,
So-
though.
Well, not now.
Not now.
Yeah, but they have the plan to do that. They were going to remove,
Well, he doesn't want to do it. And I agree. I understand not wanting more impervious surface area. I get that.
Yeah.
I try to limit it all the time, and we as a
of course,
board
we all do.
It's just tricky because, by saying, oh, I'm not going to give you permission to use it, but you're approving a plan that requires the use of it.
That's
So
what
how
I'm
does-
struggling with.
I got to figure that out. And I'm sure I'll talk to Primex too, because I'm sure insurance, what happens if, someone comes out here, it's the school bus, It just, that's, the liability concerns are raised, the fact that, I would implore you to talk to the school, if you talk to the school, I would implore you to talk to the
Yeah.
school board and try to get some sort of letter from them.
You know
And
what,
that would be
Dave?
alleviate all this.
I have approached the school board. Nobody there is going to say, oh yeah, I have the authority to go ahead and restrict our use of, they're not going to.
Do you mind if I have that conversation with them then?
I have no problem, but I'm
Okay.
not in here, I am in here looking for those spaces. I have room
understand.
to put 5 more spaces anywhere on this site. I'm not asking permission to use Seminary Way, but by my application and your approval, it is happening, okay? I have no intention of not using Seminary Lane.
Well, I know
I'm just
that,
saying
yeah.
it out loud.
No,
I
we
know.
know that.
And they
That's
have,
what I'm
and they're
trying
going to tell
figure
you
out.
they have no intention of closing the public way because, as you say, parents use it, students use it, everybody uses it, but to say Steve can't, I mean, that's ridiculous.
That's something I really think
If
the
they
attorney
close it,
will
yeah,
address for us.
exactly.
I'm
They
not going
close
to
it
have
to
that
everyone.
conversation anymore
So,
tonight.
yeah. I mean, I think it's a valid
I think they have
concern,
a right
no
to
doubt.
allow anyone to use it if they want, but
Yeah.
to allow,
And they have been
that-
for over 100 years, so why would they
you're adding a lot
all of
more.
a sudden end it? That's, you
So,
know.
anyway, thank
So they
you.
used to
Yeah, I
drive
don't know.
carriages in and out of there years ago.
Yeah,
Right, so I will get on that, that's a struggle
I'll
I
read-
will, but.
I'll
then
read
the
this in more
second
detail.
question- The second question is that you have a meeting, the meeting schedule, the next meeting's February 26th, but will you get from Henry in a week?
If I do, you'll get it right away, but I think we will.
Because, I mean, you could either table, 22nd, I'm sorry, you could either table it to the 22nd or the 14th. February 22nd or March 14th.
do you have anything already on?
Nothing's on the agenda for the 22nd.
Nothing's on the agenda for the 22nd, no.
Let's do it that way then. Is that okay with you?
Well, if he gets everything done.
Yeah,
I would need everything in
He's
here
not
by the
committing.
15th at the latest. But then if he doesn't get in by the 15th, I just got to get 4 people to show up here on the 22nd and table it till the 14th.
We know that routine.
Yeah,
Do we have nothing else on the 22nd?
because we have nothing else on the agenda.
That's why our short meetings, 5 minutes.
So he's telling me he's going to get it by the 15th, February 15th. I need it because we send out packets
or 4 of us have to come here for 3 minutes.
When is our first meeting in March?
March
Can we
14th.
do it remotely?
No,
No.
No.
I don't know.
So-
Get it done, I think.
By the 15th?
I'm just not 100% sure, but it's not like we're going to call Henry tomorrow and ask him to do it. He's already on it. He's been out of country.
Okay.
I know that.
Right, but do you know when he's back?
He'll get it done. He's back, yeah.
Yeah, he's back.
doesn't need-
Why force it
Get
then?
right on it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'd prefer, if he wasn't sure, I'd prefer to push it to the 14th.
14th.
Yeah, I'd prefer that. Right.
I'm fine with the 20, I mean,
Can you give me a day to answer the question? I'll call.
We're not,
Well, you just,
All right, let me say this.
If you want
I'm
it-
sure we'll be ready.
he's
yeah,
saying
and if they're
sure.
not.
Okay.
Table it till February 22nd. We can come in and do a quick meeting if we
Done it
have to. We've
before.
done it before.
Before we,
Then
before anyone makes a motion on that, I just want to clarify that I think that what I would really like to see at that meeting is the parking layout, ensuring that there's enough room for cars to back out and all of that,
Yep.
with the full dimensions that are in our regulations, as well as that road. Make sure that there's proper turning radii and all of that, instead of just like the red
On
highlight.
what road?
I'm sorry, the connector that you're proposing, if needed, the driveway connector between
The
the
Red Road.
red road.
Yeah, I mean, there's no, I'll say this because it's more of a question. I don't mean to sound like I know the answer to this, but in the regulation, it talks about maneuvering aisle. So that would imply at the parking, okay? So they want
Yeah.
to be able to back out and stuff. There's no real regulation on how wide the driveway needs to be within.
We have driveway regulations, don't we?
Yeah, we have, yeah, it says that. To access a certain amount of units, there's widths. They're in there.
I mean, that's what I said, it's a question. I couldn't
Yeah,
find-
talk to me, because I think that, I know what you need. You need to show the proposed parking stalls, you need to show the proposed and existing edge of pavements, you need to show striping, you need to show, any curb stops and details of those. So I get what you want, I'll work, Henry should know what,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Boyd should know what we're looking for, so.
I'm just saying that should be, that
I have no-
connector should be dashed in or whatever.
Yeah, and all
In a way
scaled,
that
so you
works.
can scale it to see what it is. Usually people put the widths on the access aisles to show, that you can make those turnarounds, because that was a concern. You don't want to have to back out onto 81 Front Street. I think you got room. You
Yeah.
just have to show where you're parking.
Yeah,
And you
that would add
probably should stripe it
confusion.
out, anyway, for the benefit of the
Yeah.
future owners or renters.
And I would also really love to hear if we can get any comment from the school district, because it is, there's a line of cars there, and that's a very narrow driveway. Like, I always thought it was one way until You just said you go in and out there, so it must not be one way,
It
but
says one way at the barricade.
at the barricade, but it's very narrow. It feels like a one-way street. So if your daughter wants to get out and then there's, a line of buses
through?
sitting there for 20 minutes, she's
Well,
stuck,
thank you.
If she's an emergency or something, it could be
You know
problematic.
what, I've owned the place for 6 months. I have lived in, it's been my center of Exeter for a long time. They don't I've never seen them line buses up there. I've seen cars going in, I've seen buses going out very rarely. There's no problem, it's like a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit there. I know that the pavement's probably 18 feet wide, and I think that's a conservative guess.
It's 16, I just measured it on the plan.
Okay, so.
But there's room for two vehicles to pass.
With other, lanes.
Yep.
Provide access to two places and whatever. The guy across the street, he's not coming in front of the planning board, so he can continue to use it until he needs something from the planning board. But, so
Yeah.
I don't have an answer to.
Yeah.
But I think we can come up.
Yeah, the guy next door, he's got a one-family home now. We're talking about 6 families now.
What would I have to do to get another curb cut on Front Street?
Town does that, don't they, Dave?
Yeah, but I understand they do one on this lot, because, you definitely don't, Route 111 is a major state
Yeah,
route. So you
I don't
wanna
see it happening, but
limit
we can
access
try.
points. Definitely be in favor of the additional pavement that you're proposing.
The red road.
And keep the
Yeah.
red road before you put an additional access, because, you're gonna,
I'm just trying to keep my options open.
Yeah,
It's
right.
ridiculous to you, but maybe it isn't to me, so.
well, yeah, but I'm not saying it's ridiculous, I'm just saying
No.
they don't allow a second curb cut.
Right.
Unless you have over like 600 feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a state thing, I forgot it was a state.
So-
Yeah, we have.
No, it's not a state, it's a
not.
state route, but it is in our, we
Right.
have that requirement.
And so even though I have 236 feet.
You need 600 per curb cut.
You gotta buy 5 more houses.
Because access management's a big thing on a road like that probably gets, for 5 figures, 10,000,
We had this-
12,000 cars a day.
we had this conversation
you
on
wanna
Epping
limit-
Road.
You want to limit the number of accesses for
We
each
don't
lot, and I
want-
think
yeah.
we do that in our driveway
Okay, I'm
rules.
looking for
Yeah.
motion to
Table till
table to a definite date
February 22nd. Is that the right date?
at the Nowak Road.
Yeah, at 7 PM.
At
7
7
p.m.
p.m. So moved.
And I don't think we need to discuss what needs to be done. We've done that pretty well.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. I think a voice vote will do this, so those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Nays? Abstentions? See you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks for your patience.
One hearing meeting you've ever had, Frank.
Oh, no,
Well, the neighborhood cases are
Are
challenging.
you living there now? Did you say you were living there
My
now?
daughter does.
She is there?
She lives in the servants' quarters and she's renovating the back of the house to move into.
So if someone wanted to go and walk around the property, she wouldn't shoot me, would
If you
you?
guys want to come look around, all you gotta do is say it right now instead of, or get to us and set a time. We're there.
I would like to.
I'd be happy.
Only 'cause it just to put it all in perspective for me.
Let's get together, John.
Yeah, you do wanna do it?
Yeah.
You showed an interest, Nancy.
I would like to. I guess,
No, we can't schedule
You
it.
gonna do it, Bob?
Leave it with Lang.
It's tabled.
You can give me a call or shoot me an email, Lang, and
Okay?
so Lang, is it like possible to reopen it and see if anybody else is interested in going, if 2 of us are, on a site walk? Or can we just go without doing that?
I hesitate to make it a site walk, then it becomes a public
Right, so,
event.
but it won't be if John and I
If we go,
personally go? Is that still?
Lang wants to go.
No, just don't carry on that conversation about
Anymore.
your sidewalk to
Nope.
2 more people.
Nope.
Thank you. So John and I will talk offline, and he'll make a plan.
Okay.
Thank you,
I'm
David.
closing up here.
Now, what else we got on the agenda here
Let me see
tonight?
the card.
I have it someplace.
Lang.
Oh, excuse me.
Let me just see the card.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Like I said, I don't want to get shot.
Master plan discussion.
Yeah.
And
Give me-
thank
you got one
thank
more
you
of
for
these?
those in the public.
Yeah, I
for coming.
referenced.
All right.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
for coming.
We appreciate it.
That's the
Yeah, thank you.
reference in my
Thank you.
TRC comment letter.
Can I drop
It
my,
makes us feel better when the public comes.
Yeah, I would.
Believe it or not.
can I just give you
Oh, yeah,
my
yeah.
number?
What's a good time for you?
Anytime.
Your meetings 24/7 or 6. So I like to do things like that early.
I'm waiting here
For
till
you.
Oh,
So
Dave's available here.
so if we met at 8, that's okay?
yes. It's
on
live. You
TV.
can-
I don't have my calendar.
We're on
I have my phone in the
TV. You've been
car.
on TV.
It's okay.
Okay, but if you
I gave you my number.
Or can you watch it in some other way, like if you don't get the broadcast signal?
I think,
It's on demand on Exeter TV. You can, they record it, and so you can go online and watch it whenever you want.
Is it this
Yep.
meeting? Is that what, I'm sorry, is that what you were asking about? So you can go right on our town website. The link on the left says meetings and agendas.
It's live.
Go to this meeting, and then there's a video attached to it too.
Because I tell people if they want to see what the hell I'm talking about every once in a while.
Yeah.
And there was no butter letter sent for this meeting, is that the way it's supposed to be?
There should have been.
None of the abutters got a letter about tonight's meeting. So,
No,
the process.
Dave?
Yes.
A butter notifications? No, it's okay.
Huh?
A butter notifications?
What about them?
Were they, are they supposed to go out?
Should they have had one for tonight's
can't-
meeting?
Yeah,
There were no butter letters delivered to any of the neighbors.
the abutters?
I'm in a butter and I did not get a letter, and neither did.
I mean,
She's about as close as you
I
can
don't,
be.
I'm not in charge of that, but I can go pull the file to see the
I mean, the list of
certified.
people over there, but I asked my neighbors, did any of you guys get a letter? And they said no.
Usually comes
are
as a,
butter.
like if you're not home, you get like the,
Maternity.
because it has to be hand delivered. So you get the little certificate that, no? Wow.
So the
blew
only
away.
reason that some of my neighbors knew about it was because I've been following it. And
I bet.
well, it is posted, which is different than what you're asking for, but butters have to be notified.
they never.
I'm not, well.
Dave's
see
got the file,
What
he'll,
Dave has it.
Well, we'll have another meeting in 2 weeks.
They're in this folder. You got one back. It says we Hampshire Development Corp., 81 Front Street LLC, Mark Ross, Exeter School District, Yanru Chen, I hope I'm not destroying that name, Will Wheat,
So Mrs. Reed was here tonight. She said she never got a notice.
Stephen Baum, Brendan Baker, Jennifer Young,
The Young said they never
Phillips,
got one.
Exeter, Hay Creek, Exeter, Leo,
Geez, they got a lot of abutters.
Henry Boyd,
there's only one green card back.
I'm
Seven.
Russ. Did the Russ one?
Mark J. Russ,
The address.
but this is 79 Front Street,
Because our.
Mark J. Russ. This is the official receipt, what this is the official receipt. This is it's the day when we go, it has the date and time when we go down and we put it in. It was mailed on 1/25/24. And it's supposed to be certified mail, but then people sign for them, and then we get these back.
Green card.
Over time. But sometimes they try to deliver them, there's no one there, they don't leave them because they have to have a signature. So,
Right.
but
The notice,
that's,
but there was no notice on my door, but.
yeah, I'll look into it because we did bring them to the post office to get them sent.
Apparently they had been mailed, but nobody seems to, our mailman may be deficient, I don't know, but nobody.
Yeah.
that I spoke
Another
to-
problem with the mail, huh? You can't count
Well,
on
that hasn't been unusual
might
lately,
get
the problem with the
received a
mail.
notification.
Just to
Okay,
bring
so
the Thursday
The
flyers.
effect of that,
Give
the
them back
notice,
till Wednesday.
is like, it's good that we
You're
didn't,
right. I didn't
we
know
didn't
what
approve
happened
it
there.
tonight.
Barbara.
They
You're talking about
they
closing
postponed it,
down
and now you're
the
saying all the
Manchester
neighbors that you
Sorting
know of
Center,
are aware of
moving
it
it to
because they
Boston.
didn't get it.
Even more of
Three
a
neighbors I
delay.
spoke to, Mrs. Weedy, who was here tonight, youngest who
Well,
couldn't make
but
it to
Exeter
Okay.
doesn't leave Exeter, I don't think.
Okay.
No.
That anything had been attempted to be delivered to us.
Yep, all right. Well, I'll look, definitely look into that, because that's concerning.
Now we'll go to Boston.
But unfortunately, it was postponed to a date certain. So we'll try to, well, they're there, but the other
Going to-
family doesn't know yet, so hopefully they'll get this, but I'll look into it. I mean,
Okay.
call, if you want to check up, call our office. Barb McAvoy does this in our office, so we definitely gave them to the post office, but
Yeah, I
then
see
what
that.
they did them.
That's great.
Yeah, we always keep track, because this is very important to us. And the fact that people aren't getting
law.
it, we have to, if people aren't getting it on time, I mean, that's like, that's.
And that's gotta
I
be,
mean,
yeah.
January 25th, you should have got it by now. Because we drop it off right here in Exeter.
Yeah, it has to go like, not
It
that
has to
far.
literally go like 4 blocks.
Everything goes to Manchester before it comes.
I
No,
wasn't
it's
in
in
town.
town and
It doesn't leave
If you
Exeter.
give it to the guy at the counter and say, this is an
Oh,
extra.
certified,
See
maybe?
that doesn't go out.
All right, okay.
They will take care of it.
Yeah, no, I
And you'll get it
don't
the next
disagree,
day.
yeah, I should.
Yeah,
So
the mailman.
we'll look into it and
Okay.
and figure out what it means.
Whoever's-
I like our old school
Yeah,
post
oh, no
office
problem, yeah, thank you.
versus the little ones they build now. The one in Londonderry is, which is bigger town, is half the size of ours. And it's just like, the people wait outside. It's just in the winter,
The DMV,
before
yeah,
Christmas,
inside.
yeah.
Wouldn't mind, we just don't want a jet item, and I don't want
Yeah,
to. Okay,
We're at
We have one-
master plan discussion.
I just want to briefly, you've all gotten it, I just wanted to briefly go over this.
You dropped something out of the folder there.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it back in right now.
Don't mess with the evidence.
Yeah, don't mess with the evidence. So I included in your packet a master plan analysis update, and what we did, we adopted the 2018 map. We adopted an update, master plan update in 2018. This board, I think most of you were, you were all part of it.
one way
And
or another.
we did kind of a streamlined thing, like to instead of doing chapters, we did a kind of a condensed master plan vision, talked about all topics, land use, natural resources, economic development, instead of separating them into 3 ring binders and updating chapters at a time. So one chapter is brand new, and then, the economic development chapter is 2023, and the natural resource chapter is, 15 years old. So we went to I think a more user-friendly format, vision, talk about all those things that are all connected. They're not in silos. Economic development is tied to natural resources, which is tied to land use, and they're all connected, and recreation. So we did we wrote it, had a vision, described the community, and we wrote action agenda that included 67 items and tasks, specific tasks that we were going to do as a town. And each of those tasks most of them were pretty specific on what you needed to do. And then the town lead was identified, the support was identified, and the time frame was identified. And just happy to report that of the total 67 specific action items in the master plan, 66 of them are either completed, 23, or being worked on, 43. So only one item has not begun, and that is the complete streets policy, which has been in the CIP. It's just been chugging along toward funding, and it's up to support for funding in next year's CIP in 2025. So once that's done, we'll have basically completed the town master plan done in 2018. And I just want to take that I believe this is a testament to the dedication of all you folks, engaged residents, business owners, town staff, elected officials, and I believe it is time to start considering an update to the master plan, and I anticipated that because I knew we were kind of close before this analysis. I put it in last year's CIP for 2028, I think, but I'd be welcome any discussion to move that around or bump that a little forward to forward years when we update the CIP this year, this summer. Right?
Yeah, I think for the record, this is a monumental task, and
Yeah.
extremely well done, I think.
Yes, and I want to add that it also is attributed to our town planner, who
Keep us
keeps us
moving,
moving on them.
Yeah.
So thank
He said
you
pushing.
for that.
Yeah, some of us might have been dragging our feet, but
But he also,
Oh, he
he
did mine.
moves us, but he also,
If you only have coffee for you guys.
he
in the
gets
morning.
everything. If you only had coffee, I know, well,
Yeah.
that'll be in the
No, but I mean,
next.
for the 3 of us who were sat with him for a period of time.
Yeah.
This is a good job.
But he
Yeah.
did all the heavy lifting. We just,
It was a symbiotic relationship. I'll take some credit, thank you, but
Okay.
it was I couldn't have done it without,
You
and
weren't
the
gonna credit
residents. I mean,
yourself. I had
the
to make
creation
sure
of the
I did it.
master plan itself included almost 1,000
Somebody's gotta
people
lead
I remember, it was quite
input.
impressive.
It was really,
Yeah.
it was, uplifting to see that
But
much.
somebody's got to lead the
engagement.
charge, and the thing that delights me the most is when we made the decision on our last master plan process to go through and develop what we developed, a measurable document, there's the results. And my hat is off to our town planner. I don't care what
Absolutely.
David says, he's the leader.
He's not going to
He's got a heck of a good board, by the way. but-
Yes, he does. He absolutely.
He did it.
Yes.
So,
He
thank you, Dave.
keeps us
Round of
moving
applause.
forward.
I mean, really,
Absolutely
truly.
agree.
Thank you.
when is our next meeting, by the way?
All right, what's the last one?
Next item on the agenda?
The only thing left, I just want to
Yes.
kudos to Barb. I got another stack of probably 10 dozen refunds. We're digging into the archives. We're giving back a lot of money from that we're not supposed to keep. We've held since.
Who knows
God
when.
knows how long. Some of it was in the 90s. These are all like kind of 2016s and
Oh, my goodness
so
sakes.
forth. So
Yep.
we're kudos to Barb for digging these all out and refunding.
Hope she's enjoying because it's like a treasure hunt or
Yeah.
something, right? And so it's almost like,
And then when she gets in touch with people where to send this $4,661 check, people are pretty excited.
I imagine. Yep. What do you mean by a treasure hunt?
That's all I have.
Okay.
Okay, any field modifications, Dave?
None requested.
Land use regulations review, not today. Performance guarantees, you told about those. Any announcements for the good of the order? No, okay. Chairperson has no items. Anybody else have?
I have one.
Yes?
I'll play social secretary again that you teased me about. So I'm going to say a happy early birthday to our chair,
Oh.
because I believe your birthday is Sunday.
Well, thank you very much. It happens every year.
It does.
That's good, that's a good
Add
thing.
one, that's all.
Add one.
You're going to join our nifty 90 club?
Yeah, no, give me a little time.
Hey, easy on it. Easy on it.
All
I
right.
get there this year.
I will.
Oh, you do?
adjourn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
Well, very good. So,
I'll move to adjourn.
move to adjourn? Second, so on and so forth?
Third, fourth.
Stand for it? We stand adjourned. Thank you so much for coming.
He's gonna be 90 this year.
No,
And
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for
Really?
tuning
I
in
never-
to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.